You know, I have to apologize for my last Acolyte review. I think I may have been unnecessarily harsh when saying that Leslye Headland killed Star Wars with the premiere of a new series. Because compared to this week, that premiere was The Empire Strikes Back. It's time for a Marvin the Movie Monster review. Hello, I'm Marvin. And I'm the Movie Monster. Welcome to another episode of Marvin Reviews here on Toontown TV, and man, oh man, am I tired of saying the words Leslye Headland and the Acolyte. But as an entertainment channel, it's impossible to ignore what is cultural vandalism at best and cultural jihad at worst. Oh, and before we get started, I have another apology to make. Last week, I referred to our our main characters, May and Osha, the twins who share one face and one facial expression, as Mary-Kate and Ashley. Now, this was wrong of me. I see now the error of my ways, and I beg for your forgiveness. A much better joke was staring me right in the face the whole time, so May and Osha will now be known on this channel as Mary-Kate and Oshley. I truly hope you can find it in your hearts to forgive me. If it seems like I'm stalling, well, it's because I'm dreading this. It's like jumping into an ice bath. You know that it's gonna hurt, be mostly unpleasant, and kill all of your erections for the remainder of the day, but you just have to do it. So, here we go. The Acolyte Episode 3. They tried to warn us. People like Chris Gore and Alan Ng from Film Threat told us that Harvey Weinstein's former personal assistant, Leslye Headland, was about to irreparably break Star Wars. But I think a lot of us thought it wasn't going to be this bad. I mean, it's not like she could just fundamentally change the Force, make the Jedi into child-snatching monsters, and somehow completely negate the importance of Anakin Skywalker and alter the entire stories of Star Wars itself. Right? What Leslye and her talentless team have done in just 37 minutes is utterly undo everything George Lucas created. Everything we as fans believed in for decades. She's taken Star Wars and twisted it into something ugly and vile. In other words, Leslye Headland remade Star Wars in her own image. And in the typical Leslye fashion we've come to know over the last few episodes, this was done with wooden writing, plot holes you can fly a Star Destroyer through, along with all the nuance and subtlety of the Death Star's main canon. Our story begins on generic and utterly forgettable planet number 3, and it's 16 years before the events of the last 2 episodes. Now, with flashbacks, normally you start in the present and flash back so that when you say 16 years earlier, you have a point of reference. So maybe we could have picked up when Oshley sees Mary-Kate in the present and lets it get away or something like that, but I guess Leslye just didn't have the time. I want you to keep that in mind when you see the sheer amount of boring, dragging horse crap in this episode. Anyway, on generic planet number 3, we encounter Oshley as a young lass with the same haircut she'll still have 16 years later. Come on, even Anakin dropped the bowl cut when he grew up. Anyway, she's sitting under a poison bullshit tree, and Mary-Kate shows up and lets her know that the poison bullshit tree is dangerous. And then in a fantastically written and acted piece of dialogue, we learn that it's only if you eat it. Was this the poison that she used on Jedi Master White Guilt last week? I know I could easily find out, but I just don't care. At all. Anyway, after that, Mary-Kate uses the Force, or so we think, on a hummingbird worm butterfly thing because she's a sociopath, and Leslye wants us to know that. Yet, at the same time, I'm pretty sure she also wants us to sympathize with this character and treat her like a secondary hero in this story. Lovable psychopath worked all of once, and even that fumbled by the end. I wonder why it's so important for us to learn the lesson that terrible people are still awesome and should be praised. Oh, right, yeah. Anyway, as the Wonder Twins head back home, they're confronted in the woods by Mama Horny, their Iridonian Zabrak mother, who we later found out gave birth to them. But they don't have horns or any Zabrak features, so keep that in mind. She's pissed that Mary-Kate and Oshley are out of the compound and scolds them, bringing them home. But uh-oh, it turns out that lurking in the shadows is the diabolical male Jedi Master Squid Games, who is crouching behind a tree after silently peeping on 2 little girls for the entirety of that scene. Now we're about to meet a coven of lesbian space witches, the new stunning and brave most important people in the Star Wars galaxy. They live on this planet on Lesbian Witch Mountain in some massive stone fortress. Did they build this fortress? Who knows? Did they just find it and set up shop? How dare you insinuate that these ladies had to find something made by a man, you misogynist? The girls immediately want something called spice cream. Yes, you heard that right. Well done, Leslye. Though last time I checked, spice was a narcotic in the Star Wars universe, so are these kids eating treats laced with crack? But it's okay. I'll give Leslye a pass on this one. I only know what spice is because I've actually watched Star Wars before and read the books and was a fan of it. You can't expect Leslye Headland to know these things. Anyway, Mama Horny says no to Spice Cream because the twins were sneaking out. But then we meet Mama Yas, who arrives on the scene to undermine Mama Horny and say that her brilliant, perfect, and wonderful girls should have all the sweet treats laced with space crack they want. Now, I call her Mama Yas because she's the one at Star Wars Celebration who said this.
Yes.
She also talked about her character as a great female leader, which she said is so rare in patriarchal Star Wars. This is a saga in which every major leader, save for Yoda and Palpatine, have been women. But again, I only know that because I've seen Star Wars. Anyway, after all that stellar parenting, Mamas Horny and Yas have a quick moment where they let us know that they're more than just work friends, and they're worried about the Jedi. You'd think if the Jedi were on this otherwise deserted planet to gather resources, the witches might have kept a closer eye on their miracle twins until they left, but that's just another little Leslye logic leap where nonsensical things happen for the sake of a story. Now we have a training session with our coven of stunning and brave lesbian space witches, where Mama Yas gives everyone a lesson on what the Force really is. See, all this time, we've had it wrong. We've been listening to idiots like George Lucas through know-nothing toxic males like Obi-Wan Kenobi and Yoda, but Leslye Headland is going to clear up what the Force actually is. You see, it's not a force, it's a thread. The thread of life, which you I guess, pull on? Also, why is she explaining it to the people in this room? The Wonder Twins, along with every strong female in this room, have been training like this for years. So why do they need a history lesson? It's for no other reason than to sloppily inform the audience that she's fundamentally changing the Force. That's like going to your AP algebra class, where every day your teacher starts off by explaining to you what numbers are. Just another little Leslye logic leap. Mama Yas says that the thread
is not a power you wield.
She then immediately wields that power to force push at people. Bravo, Leslye. You are legitimately the worst writer who has ever lived. Mama Yas then shows us the power of one by force pushing against one person. Then we see the power of two, where she pushes against two people, and it's stronger. Yes, Leslye, that's how reality works. Two people pushing against something will be stronger than one person doing it. Just more incredible, deep philosophical thoughts from the mind of a deranged blockhead. Also, witches talking about the power of one, the power of two, why does that sound familiar?
Power of three will set us free. Power of three will set us free.
God, you are a putrid hack, Leslye. This show has not one original idea, and it's delivered in such a clumsy, ham-fisted way. Have you ever sat and listened to an aggressively dumb person try and show you how smart they are? That's what this is like.
I want to talk science with the science dudes.
Anyway, the Wonder Twins start fussing and having a little slap fight with each other, and Mama Yas responds by force pushing the two of them and throwing them to the stone steps. So, this mother spoils her kids and undermines their other parent, and then the second they annoy her, she physically assaults them with, I might add, something that's not a power that you wield. In the next scene, Mama Yas and the Wonder Twins talk about ascension and the two girls becoming witches. You know, typically in Star Wars, witches have a different name like Night Sisters of Dathomir or the Mountain Tribe of Dathomir. They're usually only called witches by people who don't understand or are afraid of them. This coven of lesbians literally just calls themselves witches. Anyway, Leslye says she doesn't want to be a witch, and this pisses off Mary-Kate. Mama Yas's amazing parenting tactic is to stop them, make them hold hands, and force them to say they love each other. She then tells Leslye that she thinks she wants something other than life with the lesbian witches, but that's only because she's young and stupid. It's manipulation and gaslighting of the highest order, and that would be fine if Mama Yass ends up being the primary villain of this show. And that still might happen, but I seriously have my doubts. The black lesbian witch is not going to end up being the ultimate evil in a Leslye Headland production. She then says,
The galaxy is not a place that welcomes women like us.
real subtle and masterfully veiled social messaging there, Leslye. Next time, just write, this is about being gay on the front of a bus and just ram into us with it. Next, the twins get their hair done, and we reiterate that Mary-Kate really wants to be a witch, and Ashley really doesn't. You know, the same thing we talked about in the last scene without adding anything new. Also, I don't like to rag on kid actors, but can we just say justice for Jake Lloyd? He's no longer the worst kid actor in the history of Star Wars. I would rather listen to this.
Are you an angel? An angel. I heard the deep space pilots talk about them.
Over this.
And you hide things from me or run off alone? I want to have my own things.
However, I will say that the two twins occasionally have different facial expressions from one another, which means they're being played with more skill than demonstrated by Amandla Stenberg when they're adults. Oh, and now it's time for the scene. The single worst scene in all of Star Wars. It's Ascension time on Lesbian Witch Mountain, where Mama Yass and the Coven perform a whole-ass musical number.
Sisters, sing.
I'm not kidding. They start off with a rave, and then writhe around singing and throwing their hands about.
Power one, power two, the power of many. I put a spell on you, and now you're gone.
Also, big props to this lady for going above and beyond. Employee of the month right there. Now, if you're one of those people who get uncomfortable with cringy humor, then this scene will send you into fits. Seriously, I'd rather watch the Scott's Tots episode of The Office on loop before ever voluntarily sitting through this trash ever again.
Hey, Mr. Scott, what you gonna do? What you gonna do? Make our dreams come true.
The Ascension starts as Mary-Kate gets a swirly, twirly tattoo on her head. Ashley also makes it very clear that she still doesn't want to do this, but Mother of the Year Mama Yass continues writhing. But before she could swirly-whirly her other daughter's head, the evil Jedi show up on Lesbian Witch Mountain. The lesbian witches panic and hide the children, treating the Jedi like they're the soldiers coming up the stairs at the end of Anne Frank. Mama Yass quickly tells the other lesbian witches that there is to be no violence. Remember that for the next few minutes. The whole gang is here, with Jedi Master Trinity, Jedi Master Squid Games, Jedi Padawan White Guilt, and Leslye Headland making a special Hitchcock-like appearance in her own project. Jedi Master Trinity is all like,
I smell children.
and eventually they find the Wonder Twins. Ashley is all enamored with them, and she meets Jedi Master Squid Games, who talks to her like a CPS officer mixed with a creepy guy trying to coax a kid into a van. He then lets her hold his lightsaber. That's just quality work right there, handing the deadly weapon to a child. Imagine CPS coming to the house with a police officer, and the cop is like, hey kid, wanna hold my gun? When the Jedi ask who their father is, Mama Yass proudly responds,
They have no father.
that sounds familiar.
There was no father.
Remember that for later. Trinity then tells Mama Yass that the Jedi have a right to train Padawans, but then adds, with your permission. That's something I really want to hop on here because they're making it seem like the Jedi are just going to steal these kids. The Jedi never kidnap anyone. You have to willingly give your kid to the Jedi. So all Mama Yass has to do here is say no, and she doesn't. When Ashley starts talking to the Jedi, she attacks Padawan White Guilt with the Force, thread magic. Remember when she said this?
No violence.
Bravo, Leslye. Eventually, it's somehow decided that the Jedi will test the kids. Once more, I'll add that all Mama Yass had to do was say no, but now the Coven convenes to figure out what they're going to do about this. Instead of just saying no thank you, they devise a plot cooked up by Sister Droopy Dog, who says that if the twins lie and fail the test, she'll be so happy. Great plan, ladies. Have two 9-year-olds deceive a couple of Jedi Masters. Great plan. Mama Horny then gets all bothered by this and gets into Mama Yass's face. It's here that we get this amazing exchange.
I carried them.
I created them.
There we have it, folks. The law-shattering truth of it all. Remember Anakin Skywalker being born of the Force? How this was a unique thing that was prophesied? How he was the chosen one? Well, think again, because he wasn't the first. These twins born of lesbian witches came first. They're the real chosen ones. Anakin is just a chosen one now. Mama Yass forced or threaded the two of them into the uterus of Mama Horny and immaculate conceptioned them into existence. This breaks Star Wars. It completely negates everything special about Anakin, and it makes no sense in the greater Star Wars universe, but we will get to that a little bit later. Mama Yass then tells the Wonder Twins they have to lie to the Jedi. No telling them about the Coven, their thread training, and certainly not about the space crack that she gives them. Leslye, however, wants to say what's in her heart, because you see, she really wants to be a Jedi. Why? How? She's been raised in isolation with these ladies who very clearly hate the Jedi, so where did her admiration for them as noble peacekeepers come from? Just another little Leslye logic leap. After meeting Leslye Headland, Leslye goes into the ship and tries to fail the test. But she fails at failing because apparently a sheltered 9-year-old isn't able to trick a trained Jedi Master. Who knew? So now the witches are all like, what are we gonna do? And I'm like, just freaking say no. But Leslye wants to go, and that makes Mary-Kate have another slap fight with her. Side note, if the two twins fought as adults, wouldn't it be amazing if they fight like this? Mama Yass seems to consider Leslye's wishes and tells her that they'll consider her feelings when they decide what to do. So then Mary-Kate confronts her sister and says she won't let her go with the Jedi. Leslye says she can't stop her, and Mary-Kate replies,
I'll kill you.
Oh, sweet Dende, this show is terrible on every level. Mary-Kate then locks Leslye in her room and lights her journal on fire, which in turn lights the entire stone fortress on Lesbian Witch Mountain on fire. I would question how the stone fortress catches on fire, but this is apparently now a universe where fire burns in the vacuum of space, so I just need to chalk it up as another little Leslye logic leap. Leslye gets out of the room because thankfully there's convenient passage into a nuclear reactor in her bedroom, and her and Mary-Kate fall off a bridge, but thankfully Jedi Master Squid Games is there to catch her. He then leads her through the Coven where there are small fires burning everywhere, and shows her that
the witches are dead.
She even sees Mama Yass's body, though we don't. More on that in a bit. Squid takes her to a ship and they leave. She's gonna go be a Jedi now. But wait! Mary-Kate is alive and underneath the poison bullshit tree. This would be shocking if it weren't a thing we already knew. There's of course no framing to the present at the end here, and we go to credits. Wow. Just wow. A 5-year-old could come up with better Star Wars than this. What even was this trash? There's so much bad, from the horrible plot holes to the atrociously infantile writing to the wooden acting, but the thing we have to focus in on is the law-shattering and the deconstruction of Anakin Skywalker. We've known for a while now that Kathleen Kennedy and her team of cultural terrorists hate Luke Skywalker. We saw it when they got caught having a photo of Luke in the Lucasfilm offices with a red X through his face, but apparently that extends to Anakin now as well. Also, this is only 100 years before The Phantom Menace. Yoda is around. So when Qui-Gon Jinn brings Anakin to the temple and talks about his birth, Yoda should be like, oh, it's like those stunning and brave twins from a century ago. Shmi Skywalker must have just met some lesbian space witches. The fact that Mama Yass can do this raises a lot of bad implications for the future of this series and Star Wars itself. Remember what Palpatine said about Darth Plagueis?
He could use the Force to create life.
And Mama Yass said how some people would define their power.
Some would consider our power dark, unnatural.
The dark side of the Force is a pathway to many abilities some consider to be unnatural.
And Palpatine was very clear about
to cheat death is a power only one has achieved.
So, prediction time. I think when Smilo Ren takes off his mask, it will be Asian Ezra Miller. However, I don't think he's the big boss. I think the true power behind him is none other than Darth Plagueis, and I think that Plagueis will be revealed to be Mama Yass.
Yes, yes.
And it'll be an I am your mother moment just to further stick it to Anakin's story. Now, let's also talk about what they've done with the Jedi. The heroes of Star Wars, the noble peacekeepers, have turned into...
Come, little children, I'll take thee away.
This deconstruction of the Jedi both here and in The Last Jedi, showing that they were no good all along, had only one purpose in my opinion. We all know Kathleen Kennedy wants to make this new Rey movie where everyone's favorite Palpatine is trying to rebuild the Jedi Order. That's because the Jedi that came before, the ones ruled over by men like Yoda and Luke, were bad all along. But now our stunning and brave perfect Princess Messiah is going to remake the Jedi and finally, for the first time, make them a stunning and brave force of good. Or a perfect thread of good, if you will. I also think that we're going to eventually learn that these witches are the original Force users, and the Jedi colonized, persecuted, and appropriated their stunning bravery for their own nefarious ends. And that is how Kathleen Kennedy and Leslye Headland fully exorcised George Lucas from Star Wars once and for all, while everyone's favorite beta male, Dave Filoni, sits there smiling next to them. I've gone on record many times before this show came out saying that this would be the death blow of Star Wars. This would be the moment where what we knew as Star Wars ceased to exist, replaced by a new vision that boils down to...
Put a chick in it, make her gay!
But I couldn't even fathom the true depths of what was coming. I couldn't bring myself to see that Star Wars was going to be mutated into the most heinous, vile, and hideous thing we could ever imagine. Leslye Headland's image. I hate this show. I hate it so much that flames on the side of my face. Old movie references aside, I really do hate this. The only reason I keep watching is for this channel. There's a reason why it's reached new lows for the franchise on Rotten Tomatoes, sitting at an astounding 15% audience score at the time of this recording. For reference, the Star Wars Holiday Special, the most reviled piece of Star Wars media of all time up to this point, is at 21%. It's also doing atrociously in the ratings, with official numbers showing that it has only a quarter of Ahsoka's audience, and it's falling sharply. It might be at the end of this that the only people watching are content creators waiting to rip it to shreds on YouTube. Oh man, I got through it. I survived. Thanks for sticking with me, folks. I'm watching this trash so that you don't have to. So please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Click the bell icon to get notified of new videos as they drop. For all of us here at Tooningtown TV, I'm Marvin the Movie Monster. May the thread be with you. Now get out of here!